Hello everyone, odedex here, welcome to episode 149 of Into Let's Play. So today we're going to continue with my liquid warehouse project. In the previous episode I've got myself liquid water storage, lava storage and biomass storage. Now just to remind you, in case you missed in the previous episode, the entire idea here is to make sure that those are not just for show. Like the supply of lava, water, biomass and so on will always be fully accessible from here. So meaning that I can also use those things, and actually also I'm going to use those things. So today I have a couple of plans on which liquids to get to. However, a couple of things before that. I actually decided to take a look on how is my Galgadorian drill is mining by taking a look at my Nether account. And apparently it's been doing quite well. And that's only since the previous episode. So first thing, I'm actually happy to know that my system is working, my unloading and reloading system is working, and actually I decided to go ahead and take a look on how it looks. So I still cannot go in from here because it simply teleports me back into the same place because I have already placed another gate, the same spot, so I cannot use it. So let's use the skeleton spawner and start looking around. Now, actually I already have looked around. It looks pretty good. So last time I left it, it was kind of roughly over in this area. So it kept going, and there is this thing right here. I'm not sure what that's all about. I have a feeling that there is apparently lava here, I guess, that's simply preventing it from going in a straight line. And you can see it already coming back with the full netherrack. And it dug all this giant tunnel. It kept going and going and going. And yeah, so I guess it's working pretty well. So, and this is pretty much the end of the line at the moment. But not bad. This thing is working, and I'm actually quite, I won't lie, I'm quite surprised. I had problems with the chunk loading mechanism and it felt like it's going to break and not going to work. But apparently it's working. So that's pretty awesome. Let's actually, apart from netherrack, I want to see how am I doing on the soul sand and glowstone departments. Actually, because they're also part of this. So soul sand, I've got a nice amount, close to 700, and glowstone, yeah, I don't think I've encountered any glowstone yet, at least not at that height, so that's irrelevant. Alright, so coming back to my liquid factory, actually something that I should have done and I forgot about, and that is actually chunk load that small warehouse. Nothing too big about it, but just to make sure that it's fully chunk loaded. Let's just set it up here and give it a nice 3 chunks radius. I think that's good enough. It should be. Yeah, it covers everything at the moment. Yeah, no problem. So chunk loader there, and we can actually continue with the liquids. So since in the previous episode I got myself biomass storage, I think it's only fitting to actually start to make biofuel storage. So let's do that. Now there was this biofuel cell thingy from Industrial Craft, but I think that's kind of not exactly intended, or another recipe altogether. So this is not what I'm going to make. I'm going to make it through the normal means, which is either, you got two options. You can either use a still or you can use a refinery. You got yourself the still and you got the refinery. Now I've done some research, and using the refinery creates biofuel. That's a fact. You give it biomass, you create biofuel, but the thing is the efficiency is kind of set to 0 pretty much. Like, let's say each bucket of biomass gives you a specific amount of energy. When you refine that biomass into biofuel in a still, you actually gain energy. You invest some energy in the still process, but you have a net gain of energy. Each bucket will create more energy eventually. But when you do the same with a refinery, that actually is completely negated and you gain nothing. Now, I'm not sure why is that the case, but since I'm doing this kind of as a small project and kind of a technical challenge, let's do it also in the logical way, which will be using stills. Because if I'm simply gonna use a refinery to just change the color from biomass to biofuel from green to orange, that kind of doesn't make sense, and actually typed in orange. So let's go ahead and start making it. I'm gonna need some steels, and I'm gonna need a lot of them. They're actually slower than the fermenters, so even though it's not like a production line per se, because it doesn't really make any difference still, let's have a nice amount of them, of those steels. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm gonna make 8, I think 8 steels. So I've got a lot more fermenters and they actually work faster, but still let's go ahead and make 8 of those. So I'm gonna need 8 sturdy casings. So sturdy, I'm gonna need 8. And I'm gonna need some, well, we'll just get that and use some glass and redstone and create it. So 8 steels. Okay, so when you place it in the world, I think it's actually relatively easy. You eventually you've got to input the biomass from one side and simply output the biofuel from the other side. There's nothing to it, you just need a little bit of energy to go along with it, but overall it's extremely simple. What I've actually considered doing is connecting it directly to one of those conduits. However, on purpose, because the logical way would be making biomass into biofuel, I am going to place the production line nearby, but I'm going to connect it to my warehouse instead. So it's not going to be connected directly here, it's going to be connected through my warehouse, just to make sure that there is this buffer in between them on purpose, the tank buffer, the small valve tank buffer of biomass on purpose, just to make it, I know, it feels more logically correct. So what I'm going to need, let's see, I'm going to need some more conduits. I don't think I've implemented conduits yet, or actually I have, but this is now broken again. Oh wait, no, it's not. Okay, so I'm going to need some conduits. No, I did not implement conduits yet. Wait, actually, didn't I implement conduits into my applied logistics network? I did. Oh, they're called liquid ducts, not conduits. My bad. Okay, so let's get some liquid ducts. I'm going to create a new ender tank network. Now I'm going to do something, since I'm going to do it quite a lot. Instead of adding the ender chest recipe into my applied logistics, I'm going to do something else. It's going to be actually quite smart. You're about to see what I'm going to do. For this, I'm going to need a fabricator and some ME cables and an interface. Again, since I'm gonna interface a lot with liquids now, and probably you're gonna use a lot of those ender tanks to actually do that because they're extremely convenient to use. I'm gonna do something which is gonna be, you're about to understand what I'm going to do. So the recipe requires for an ender tank a cauldron, 4 blaze rods, obsidian, and an ender pearl, and some colored wool. Okay, so let's get the cauldron out of the way. I don't think I've got a cauldron implemented, so let's add that. Kind of gonna be forced to do that. I think you make it like this. Yep. Okay, so that's the cauldron. My 5th page. Congratulations. Okay, so let's get some blaze rods. Let's get a cauldron. Just one. Let's get some ender pearls. And let's get obsidian. You're about to understand what am I doing. Okay, so I'm gonna set it up. Let's set it up right. No, let's set it up in my liquid warehouse. It kind of makes it a bit more sense. Just because, well, you're about to understand why. Okay, so let's set it up right over here. So we'll be here. And I'm going to tell this interface at all times, keep 4 blaze rods connected, 4 blaze rods available, a cauldron, 2 obsidians, 2 obsidian blocks, and an ender pearl. At all times, keep those here. And I'm going to print the ender storage, the ender tank, the recipe here. And what that's going to let me is now, let's say for biomass, let's go for the color, let's go for green, green, green. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my wool section. I'm gonna take the green wool. I'm gonna come to this fabricator, add the final piece of wool, the green wool recipe, and simply dump one wool here and another one. And it just created 2 tanks for me. And why is that? Why did that happen? Well, this interface always going to store all the recipe, all the items required to create the ender tank, just except for the colored wool. And whenever I want to create a new type of ender tank, I just come here, change the recipe, I just removed it on purpose, change the recipe, place that wool here, and I just created the tanks that I'm looking for so easily and so conveniently. Now I could just add the ender tank storage, the ender tank recipe to my applied logistics network, but I think because there are 16 of them, because of their 16 colors scheme, like there is a color for each wool, that's of course disregarding the fact that you can crisscross colors and mix and match and all of that. For the solid colors, you've got 16. I don't want to add 16 recipes at the moment, so this is a lot easier. Anyway, now doing this, I've got access to potentially some biomass, so let's connect it all to this ender tank. I'm gonna need liquid ducts, I should have them, and some redstone torches. Let's get them so I can get rid of all of these other things, which I'm not really going to need. Let's get a little bit more redstone torches and connect this all together. So this block goes away, this here, this, and this. And now let's just change the modes to make sure they're all correct. So this is on extraction, and this should be like this. Yeah, the red valve on the bottom. And now my green, green, green network of the tanks, at least, of the liquid tanks, not the chests, will have biomass. So let's take care of that. So it's actually gonna be extremely similar to this on purpose. Now this one had an input of water and an output of biomass. This one will have an output of biofuel and an input of water, of biomass. So let's have all of those torches because there will be liquid ducts right over here. I think I'm going to change their mode to be this extraction mode thingy. So like this. What I've learned from the past that I'm going to need to separate this with an additional liquid duct. This will be a tesseract, so I'm going to need one. Let's get actually 2. So this will be here. And what just happened? My inventory is going crazy. What's going on? Where are my liquid ducts? Something with the inventory just went mad. Okay, so I think with the inventory just went crazy and I think I just lost 2 liquid tesseracts, but I guess that's fine. Can just make some new ones, although I'm not exactly sure what just happened, but okay. This is gonna be a new network, so it's gonna be on frequency 3. It's going to be called Biofuel, how surprising. It's gonna be sending only, and it's gonna be always on. I'm basically looking for no signal at all. And right here, I'm gonna have all the other liquid ducts that are gonna be connected with the biofuel, with the biomass actually, not the biofuel. And I'm gonna need to set it up a little bit, so this will be here, and this is going away. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. This, and this, they're all connected. I don't need to change their mode, by default they're on the right mode. This will be here, and that will be an ender tank. That one, and change the mode to blue. And they should all get filled up with biomass. And the last thing I'm gonna need is just to give them some sort of energy. So I'm gonna actually use the same tesseract that I've used right here. And you know what, I'm actually gonna even use the same one. Not just the same network, but actually the same tesseract itself. Gonna steal some of those energy conduits and just dump a little bit more redstone in here. And don't worry, the redstone conduits is probably gonna be my next my next project. So molten redstone will be next, probably. Okay, so they're all getting filled up with biomass, and the only thing I need pretty much is just connect all of them to some energy. So I can use their top, I think. Actually, yeah, it will be easier to do. And just connect it from here into here. And that's pretty much it. They're all receiving energy. They're all cooking their biomass into biofuel. I think the rate is every 1 bucket of biomass gives me, I think, 0.4 buckets of biofuel, so something like that. Yeah, but you can now see it's already all generating. Now it's not going anywhere because I did not set it up anywhere else yet. So let's just finally set it up. Let's have it right here. I'm going to need another valve. So please give me one. Let's do this. And valve. And liquid tesseract. Receive. Biofuel. And this now has biofuel. Now it's going to take a little bit of a while to get filled up, obviously, because I've got only 8 stills running. This should be constantly full all the time, because my production of biomass is a lot higher than the production of biofuel. But it's going to do pretty good. Yep. Alright, something that I actually wanted to do now that this biofuel project is complete, so just wanted to, yeah, this biofuel project is complete. I've got creation of biomass, creation of biofuel, and all that is working. Something I quickly wanted to do before continuing any further is just to change the conditional of this track right there. At the moment, this track will stay locked if I have more than 4096 seeds. I want to change that because since now I'm actually using wheat in the production of biomass, and actually, if you recall, actually started with about like 12,000 wheat before setting up the biomass production. If I take a look now, you'll be able to see it dropped out to like 8,000 or something. Yeah, even lower. Even lower because now it's actually using all of that biomass while creating biofuel. So I want to add a conditional of also checking for wheat, because now wheat apparently is a useful product. So I'm going to need some wheat. I'm also going to need a level emitter for that. And I'm going to use some normal vanilla redstone. You'll soon understand why. Mainly because I'm going to do basically an AND gate, a logical AND gate. But because the way the tracks work, like it's going to always look for a logical true, basically a redstone signal on, and you cannot change that. The track simply works that way. I don't need an AND gate because an AND gate kind of inverts the signals. Well, not exactly, but you'll understand why. This is actually also, by the way, not an AND gate, an OR gate. My mistake. So kind of am forced to cause some updates to my network. There is pretty much no other way. Let's make this go away and this also go away. This one currently is checking for seeds, 4096 seeds. So this now goes away. Where did it go? Why am I not picking it up? Okay. That was strange. Okay, so again, I'm looking for 2 signals. So either one of them, either I'm missing seeds, or am I missing, or if I'm missing wheat, I want to turn this on. So in order to do that, I'm gonna have this redstone dust right here. There will be an emitter facing this redstone dust, so right here, and there will be another emitter facing this redstone dust right here. This one will be checking for seeds. So if I have less than 4096, which is emit when I'm above, no, emit when I'm less. Right now it emitted a signal because I'm not connected to the network, so that's kind of silly, but okay, that will be it. If I'm having less than 4096 seeds, emit a signal, and this one will emit a signal if I have less than 4096 as well. So that pretty much just yielded an OR gate. Either one of those signals is true, meaning that I have less than the amount that I'm looking for, emit a signal. Now, since they weren't connected to the rest of the network, actually, it kind of just ended up being kind of silly because it's now going to start the process of another trip. But yeah, what can I actually do? So I'm going to have another slight excess of those materials at the moment, but overall, it should be fine. And I can dump the rest of those things in here. Just make sure that there is no accidental things. Yep, it should be fine. So there you go. Just change to look for 2 conditions instead of 1. Okay, so I started to build up a nice amount of biofuel. It's gonna have this nice orange color to it. I think it's fitting here next to my lava. Obviously my biomass, again, it will probably remain full because I have such a larger production of biomass than biofuel. And yeah, it's really not going to have any effect. So let's move on to the next step. Now I think it's fitting that since my last project was biomass and biofuel, I think it's fitting that now I'm going to look for oil and also refine that into fuel. Now oil is actually something that I'm going to simply have to be forced to find in the world, but surprisingly enough, moving it here will be actually very, very easy. And that's all thanks to because I already have an existing network of all those different things working, this is why it's going to be so easy. So let's get started doing that. So to do that, I'm going to need, let's see, I'm going to need a pump. Let's actually carry, I think I've got only one on me. I'm going to need a pump. I'm going to need, whoops, let's get rid of that. I'm going to need a tesseract. I'm going to need an energy tesseract, and I'm going to need 2 liquid tesseracts. And just to make sure, I'm also going to use a spot loader, although it's not really a must. Am I out of spot loaders? Yeah, seems like I am. Let's steal some from my Monster Farms age. They're not being used there anymore, I think. Yeah, I use them to kind of keep this working, although I don't think it's necessary anymore, so let's break them. If you're not familiar, a spot loader is kind of a chunk loader that will only load the spot. It has no configuration, nothing to it. You simply place it, and it will load the chunk around it. Just kind of a simple chunk loader if you only need to chunk load one spot. So I've got myself an energy tesseract, liquid tesseracts, a spot loader, and a pump. I'm also going to just get a little bit of cobblestone, so I'm going to have some sort of building material to work with. And just to set it up, I'm going to need to actually set up the output first for my tank right here. So I'm going to need another valve. And I'm going to set it up right here and turn it on. And place the liquid tesseract right here. And it's going to be a new network that will be, right here will be receiving only, frequency 4, and it will be oil. Alright, so this liquid tesseract now receives oil without any problem. And now the fun part, oil hunting. Just going to find oil right now. Now I think I did have a small oil pool right here. Yeah, I remembered having that. So let's empty that first. So I'm gonna set up my my system right here, and you'll be able to understand why it's so easy. But the thing is, it's not infinite. You kind of need to change. You kind of need to update this every so often. So simply find an oil pool, place the pump, place the energy tesseract on one side, the liquid tesseract on the other side, and the spot loader on top. And liquid tesseract, set it up to oil. Energy tesseract, set it up to Buildcraft energy, and I'm collecting oil. This is how easy it is. This is really just the most complicated thing ever. Now obviously, if I did not have that convenient liquid tesseract network, and if I did not have the energy tesseract network wouldn't have been so easy to do. You may remember from really the early episodes of my Let's Play the explanation for this. I kind of found a small oil slick right here, which I thought was a giant one, but just ended up being like worth of 8 buckets or something. And really wasn't worth the trouble. Yeah, this one also apparently wasn't large enough, so let's take it off and find a new one. So with all those tesseracts, this is actually a lot easier to do, obviously. So let's go ahead, collect this, and find another slick. So I'm gonna need to refill my graviton suit and go ahead and find another pool of oil. Okay, so traveled a little bit around my overworld. My home is over there. I found this. I have a feeling this is again one of those small, really small pools. But let's just try and see how large it is. So again, place the pump, place the tesseracts, and simply pull it. Bitcraft energy, oil, go. If it's really small, just going to disappear pretty quickly. Doesn't seem to be actually very small. Yeah, it seems to be like there is something to it. So let's mark the area. I'm going to create a waypoint here. Oil fountain. So I can remember it and place the spot loader. So it always loads this chunk. And let's see how actually am I doing, like those two fountains, how good were they? Like how much oil actually they were worth. Okay, so well, I didn't really check how much did the other one provide me, but this one provides me not bad at all. Pretty much, I think it's actually very easy to calculate. Every block of liquid that you see in the world is pretty much equivalent to a bucket. Yeah, it's not more complicated than that. The only problem is figuring out which of the oil is flowing oil and which of the oil is actually source block, like a liquid source block, which is then, this is the actual oil. However, this one seems to be doing quite well. Yeah, I think this actually... Oh wait, no, actually, yeah, this is actually a nice one. This is actually a nice slick of oil. I guess this will also eventually lead to a nice bubble of oil. You guys probably don't see anything on YouTube right now, but I keep going down. You can actually see under the minimap that my coordinates keep going down. Yeah, this leads to a nice leak of oil, I guess. So I'm gonna use this as my oil collection for the time being. Obviously, eventually I'm going to change that when it will be over with, but this seems to be like a good collection point at the moment, so I can pretty much call oil being taken care of. So that's kind of nice. Again, let's take a quick look. How am I doing? Yeah, not bad at all. This is pretty much a good source of oil. Okay, so I really wanted to get to the fuel production this episode, but I really am not going to have the time to complete it. What I can show you though is actually, you'll be able to see that since I started my biomass production, my biofuel production, I actually started using a lot more wheat, and I actually dropped below 1496. So you can see this now is actually in order. So the fact that the cart started running, this is actually not a mistake, this is actually a good thing because I actually needed to run. So this now started collecting wheat again, and it probably will go for another circuit actually, because this is the first priority. So first it's going to need to dump everything that it has, and then it's going to probably go for another trip all around. So you can understand what I'm doing here. Again, seeds I still did not drop below 1496, so this is not emitting the signal, but this one is. So this is kind of like, acts like a small OR gate. Nothing too fancy, just even using vanilla redstone because you don't need any alloy wire here. Alright, so let's take a look at my, take a look at my biofuel production. I think, yeah, it's not full yet, but it's really getting there. Obviously, again, biomass will probably stay full until I run out of wheat, and even then I'm still gonna have a large buffer of in between. And this seems to be stuck. Why is it stuck? Don't tell me, please, that all that oil fountain was fake. It really felt like a large one. Okay, let's take a look. No, it's not fake, so what's the problem? Am I really just like on the border of a chunk or something? Oh. This is... I'm kind of exactly on the border of a chunk. This is a little bit unlucky. Okay, so I'm gonna use an actual chunk loader instead. I think the fact that some of the liquid is kind of on the border of the outside of the chunk, so the spot loader doesn't really load it, so that kind of causes a little bit of a problem. Let me get just a normal chunk loader instead and replace it with the spot loader, and that pretty much will be working. I just also caught a small glimpse. I finally dropped below 64k coal, so I think the process of making diamonds should stop now. Oh wait, I'm still above 64k, but eventually it should stop. Or just, you know, kind of be on and off depending on if I find coal or not. To be honest, I still am finding coal because of my red powder core. It will always find coal. It will infinitely find coal, but it will now want to be like constantly on. It will be on and off kind of thing. Okay, so replace this with chunk loader and set it to default. So 2 radius of square, so that means 9 chunks. You can already see that all the outside of the small oil fountain here just disappeared. However, there is still a lot going inside, so this should be doing quite nicely, and we'll stay here for a while. Of course, I'm also going to have this waypoint here, so I'm going to remember where it is exactly. Alright, so that was it. Hopefully in the next episode I'm going to get to fuel production and even more. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.